Omar Suarez's fate in Scarface hinges on a single accusation, that he was a police informant. As Frank Lopez's underboss and right-hand man, Omar held significant power within the organization, making his sudden execution a pivotal moment in the film. When Sosa has him thrown from a helicopter after branding him a chivato, the brutality and timing raise immediate suspicions. Frank Lopez himself casts doubt on Sosa's claims, telling Tony, "You bought that line?" This skepticism forces us to question, was Omar truly an informant, or was his death part of Sosa's calculated power play? The pivotal Bolivia meeting scene perfectly encapsulates the complex dynamics at play. As Frank's trusted underboss, Omar maintains strict organizational protocol, refusing to entertain additional deals without his boss's explicit approval. In contrast, Tony, hungry for advancement, pushes to hear Sosa's proposition. This fundamental clash between Omar's cautious loyalty and Tony's ambitious drive creates palpable tension. When Omar steps away to make what would be his final phone call, the sequence of events that follows feels suspiciously convenient. Sosa's abrupt claim about Omar being an informant, followed by his immediate execution, appears strategically timed to capitalize on this moment of conflict. Sosa's machinations become clearer when we examine his careful manipulation of the situation. By eliminating Omar and feeding Tony the chivato story, he accomplishes several objectives simultaneously. First, he removes Frank's loyal underboss, weakening his organization. Second, he plants seeds of doubt about Frank's judgment in having an alleged informant so close to his operation. Finally, he opens a direct channel to Tony, whom he recognizes as someone whose ambition could be useful. This calculated move suggests Sosa is indeed playing a longer game, using Omar's death as a catalyst to eventually facilitate Tony's takeover of Frank's operation. The manner of Omar's execution raises even more red flags about Sosa's claims. If Omar were genuinely discovered to be an informant, logic would dictate a swift, quiet elimination to minimize potential fallout. Instead, Sosa opts for a brutally theatrical display, having Omar beaten and thrown from a helicopter with Tony as the primary witness. This feels less like the practical elimination of a security threat and more like a calculated performance, a power move designed to simultaneously remove an obstacle and send a crystal clear message about loyalty and consequences to Tony. The questions about Omar's character extend back to earlier in the film, particularly regarding the infamous Colombian deal. The circumstances surrounding this incident have led many to believe Omar deliberately set up Tony and his crew. Several factors support this theory. First, Omar's initial hostile interaction with Tony over payment for underloading boats suggests a pre-existing tension. When Tony refuses the low-paying work, Omar's sudden shift to offering him a lucrative drug deal feels suspiciously convenient. Second, Omar's knowledge of the Colombian's volatile reputation makes his decision to send in an inexperienced crew without backup seem calculated rather than careless. Third, the timing and circumstances of the deal. Sending Tony into a high-risk situation immediately after their confrontation suggests possible retribution. The theory gains further credibility when considering Omar's position as underboss. He would have had both the connections to arrange such a scenario and the motivation to eliminate a potential threat to his position. Tony's aggressive ambition and disregard for traditional hierarchies would have made him a clear threat to Omar's standing within the organization. However, this earlier incident actually makes Sosa's later accusation even more questionable. If Omar had indeed orchestrated the setup at Sunray Motel, such a bold move would be remarkably risky for someone operating as an informant. The evidence paints Omar not as an informant, but as a figure caught in the deadly intersection of loyalty and ambition. His unwavering allegiance to Frank Lopez, once his greatest strength, became the very thing that marked him for elimination. Sosa's genius lay in recognizing that Omar's presence and influence within Frank's organization stood as a barrier to his plans with Tony. By branding Omar an informant and eliminating him in such a dramatic fashion, Sosa orchestrated a perfect storm. Omar's story exemplifies the brutal pragmatism of the criminal underworld, where even the most steadfast loyalty can become a liability when it obstructs the machinery of ambition and change.